makes most women start a business? Is it passion, money, or freedom? Welcome to Female Founders, the podcast that takes you behind the scene with women who are founders and CEOs to help you start and scale a successful business of your own. I am your host, Nagelia de Ravin. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Female Founders. In this episode, we are going to have a conversation with another great female founder, Simone Craig, founder and CEO of SLC Global and financial expert. Simone is helping women build business, wealth, and legacy to be financially free and generate wealth. I am super excited about this conversation to learn the importance of wealth from the expert. Good morning, Simone. I'm so excited today because we're going to be talking about something most people, business owners, we do not like to talk about that. So we like to just keep on moving forward and forget the money and let's not talk about it. So I am so grateful to have you here with us today to actually give ideas on how important it is when it's come to your wealth, when it's come to managing money, when it's come to all of the tax things that most people want to ignore. Let's put that aside under the bed. I'm just too excited and I cannot wait. Before we get to all the details, all the good stuff, I also wanted to know, how did you get into that career path itself?
Sure. Well, I started out as an accounting major at school, in college, and I got my accounting degree, and I ended up going a pretty traditional corporate route. So I ended up in a public accounting firm. It was Big Six back when I got out. It's Big Four now. And I worked there for a little year, and I was somewhat miserable. And then I moved on to the private sector, and I still didn't enjoy it. And I think at that time, whether it was youth or something like that, but I was conflating my original enjoyment of numbers, accounting, reconciling to zero. I really kind of in a weird way enjoyed that. But I started to conflate that with corporate culture. And not to discount corporate culture at all, but it was not for me. And so because I wasn't enjoying the corporate environment, I assumed, wow, well, I must have made a mistake. Maybe I don't like numbers and accounting. Maybe this isn't for me. Um, that's kind of the beginning of my journey, but that's how I started in really the financial industry that I've been in over 25
So what
years now.
inspired you to start your own business?
So it's a bit of a story. I ended up deciding to make a complete change from where I was. And I left my corporate job. I moved out to California and started pursuing singing and songwriting and acting. I did that for about 5 years. But the theme was I was broke, right? I was living a starving artist life. And, ironically, even when I was out of school, working my corporate gig, quote unquote, having a pretty good job, I still personally was struggling with my finances. So there was a theme there for me that I was, as you said, I didn't really want to look at it. I didn't want to deal with it. I don't want to talk about the money thing, right? And so I said, I don't want to end up being 40 years old, still waiting tables, trying to make it. So I moved back home with my tail on between my legs, and went back into corporate America, moved in with my parents, and started working again. And at that job, I was doing the work of
Wow.
3 people, and I asked for help. Yeah, and they said no. And that night, I went home and gave my resignation letter, and that was the day I became an entrepreneur. And that was in 2007, May of 2007. And I said, if I can do the work of 3 people, then I can work for myself.
Absolutely.
So that's when I decided to, start my own business, and I started an accounting
Absolutely, I totally
business.
agree. So why am I doing three people job when I can just go get three clients and do the same thing? So
It's That's it. Exactly.
so you're starting your own business.
Yeah.
How exactly do you help? Biz, biz, do you help small businesses and also individual, or do you just focus in just businesses?
I primarily work with businesses. Yes, that is who my clients are. That's who I help. Um, I essentially why my business exists, why I do what I do, is because I became very clear that my company's mission is to help close the wealth gap for women specifically. And I didn't know that originally starting out on my journey. Originally, it was just like, I want to get out of corporate. I want to work for myself and, provide a life for myself. Um, but as I started to work with people and started to really see who seemed to connect to me and who I loved working with and helping most, it was definitely women entrepreneurs. And again, along that journey, I was starting to see where, and I grouped myself into that, where we struggled the most when it comes to anything that money touches in business, right? Sales, paying our team, vendors, bills, right? E- Anything. Um, there tended to be some angst or struggle there. And so when I started to figure it out for myself, then I really started to become inspired to help other women. And that was my internal relationship, about money and business and myself, and also the actual practical steps that I was taking when it came to money and finances in my business. I had to clean up both. And in that, I started to be able to help women entrepreneurs as well.
Wow, that's amazing. How do you help your clients gain a transformational understanding about the world of money?
Yes, yeah. So I always start with mindset. Always start with mindset. And it's interesting to see, I've been in this entrepreneurial, especially online entrepreneurial space for a while now. And in the beginning, it just started out that mindset was maybe brushed over, but not really focused on. And then it turned into maybe one module in a program. And now they dedicate entire coaches, personal coaches for you to improve your mindset. So I start with mindset because I know that mindset is responsible for 80% of our results, not just with money, but life. And so there is a strong emphasis on, again, making sure that there is an uplifted, positive relationship that woman has when it comes to money and finances, and ultimately what she truly believes she is worthy of having and how she truly believes she's worthy of feeling, right? So we start there. Okay. And that immediately will lead to her income increasing, sales increasing, opportunities increasing, right? All of that kicks in. Then, then she's like, okay, I'm making money now. This is great. Then we start having conversations about profitability, right? Because your income is very different. That top line of sales that you're making is very different than your net income, which is ultimately how you pay yourself, right? How you fuel your personal wealth goals. So we talk about profitability. I make sure she knows how important it is that she pay herself. That's the other thing that I see with women entrepreneurs way too much is that you're making money, but you're paying everybody else but yourself. And so, that stops with me. So I make sure she's paying herself well and on time. I make sure that she's putting money aside for taxes. And then it's clear how much she has for operating expenses budget. And the other thing that I talk about a lot is really being clear. And I know it's painful and I know it's annoying, but really getting clear on your tax number, because then you can open yourself to the possibilities of tax savings. So if you are a service-based entrepreneur, product-based business entrepreneurs, the financials are a bit different. But service-based entrepreneurs, taxes are your second largest expense. First is usually your team, paying for a team or administrative help. Okay, very important. The second largest is taxes. So you can have a great year. You could be making great money. And if you aren't clear on what your tax liability is, and you aren't doing everything you can to pay the absolute minimum in tax with integrity, then that can all be washed away in 1 year and go back to the IRS. So I like to say, yes, let's put money aside for taxes, but let's also look at every single legal loophole we can look at. Let's look at your whole life to see all of the opportunities available to you to save the absolute minimum in tax. So once we get your mindset to where it needs to be, and mindset is always something we're working on. But once that woman is making money in that business, then it's really about making sure that how she's allocating money is tight and that she has the tax saving strategies under her belt to make sure that she's filing a tax return that makes sense for her.
Wow. This is amazing. But I like how you start with everything, the mindset, right? Because if you don't
Yeah,
have the mindset of the way everything needs to be, then you're just not gonna be doing it. And the other thing you said
correct.
that I love also is paying ourselves. As women in business, we do not do
Oh,
that. And even if we're making money, we keep hiring
yes,
more people, we're bringing more people
correct.
here and there. Everything is moving in the business. How much do you make? Oh, yeah, the business make that much money. No, no, no. We're talking about your personal. How much money do you make? And I will not lie, in the
Yes.
first few years of Woman, I didn't pay myself. It's not because Woman wasn't making money. I
Yeah,
felt like I could take the money, invest it right
yeah,
back into the company. That's exactly what I was doing. Instead of paying
sure,
myself, I keep investing in it.
sure.
And until actually my sister is a CPA that tell me, no, you need to pay yourself. I'm like, nah. And then after a huge argument with
Yes,
my sister, which is my CPA, and then we end up like,
yes,
okay, I'll pay myself the lowest possible. She's looking at me like, really? Yeah, you want me to pay myself? I'll take the lowest possible. But you are right with that.
hmm,
We do not
yeah,
do that. If the company is making money, we should definitely pay ourselves. And it took me a few years to say, no,
yes,
I put more than 80 hours into this every week. So I
yes,
deserve to pay myself. I deserve
yes.
to go get my nails done. I deserve to get my hair done because I work my ass off.
Yes. 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 Yes, 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 yes. That's that's exactly right. Especially, when you get up to a point to put kind of a number, a number there. An entrepreneur, small business owner, in the beginning, working hard, hustling, okay, making up to $250,000, they deserve to be paid at least half of what that business is making because that's what you're putting
Yes.
into it. you know so it's I'm glad your sister told you to pay
I,
yourself
I
and that
Oh,
you
at first
listened
I
to
did it.
her.
It takes me a while to listen to her, but she was right
Yeah,
about it. Also, it helps me even when end up if you want to buy a
yeah,
house, whatever you are doing, you still need to prove an income.
yeah,
And the fact that Woman is a corporation still on its own, it's not attaching to me at all. So if I don't
yeah.
pay myself, that become an issue. I can't do anything. If I want to go get a car, ma'am, how much money do you make? Zero.
That's right. Show me your
Zero.
tax return. It's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And that's the mindset shift, right? Of, in the beginning. So a lot of times it's like, how do I shift out of a corporate mindset, out of an employee mindset into, okay, I'm an entrepreneur. And then it's, how do I shift out of this entrepreneur mindset into, I'm a business owner and my business is paying me, right? And then the shift is, okay, how can my business be created as just one vehicle to fuel my personal wealth goal,
Right.
right? And that takes paying yourself.
Absolutely. Even if you start low, like I
Yeah,
said, I did start low. I didn't start with a big number. And the following year, I realized
that's
that the
right.
following year I needed to pay myself the proper amount that I deserve because I was working
That's right.
hard in the company for the past few years and I invest a lot on it as well. So it takes me a while to do it, but I will tell women don't wait that long as me because you deserve to be paid from your company.
Yes. I agree. I
So,
agree. I agree.
what according to you is the importance of bookkeeping? How do you help your clients with bookkeeping?
Oh, it's so important. I say all the time that bookkeeping is your first line of defense against overpaying in taxes. I've seen it firsthand. Matter of fact, one of my first big clients that I had when I started my business, hired me to come in and do bookkeeping on a consistent basis, and he needed a lot of cleanup. And as a matter of fact, because of bad bookkeeping, because that's also one of those things that I think entrepreneurs kind of think in the beginning because they're not sure and they're like, well, maybe I'll save on some money. Oh, I'll just have my assistant do my books. Please don't do that. Please no, because he ended up with $1 million bill, tax bill from the IRS because of bad bookkeeping. $1 million. And then when I got in there and we cleaned up his books, you know, 10, 20,000, sure. So literally, and yes, that's an extreme case, okay? But you just scale it to an entrepreneur maybe making, I don't know, even $100,000 a year, $75,000 a year. If you don't have good bookkeeping and things are categorized incorrectly, something that should be an expense or should be, yes, an expense that you have categorized maybe as some type of equity difference or draw, that expense that should have been deductible is now income to you. And what's to say anything different because you're doing the books? Right? So you have to, and obviously the more money you make, the more painful this gets, right? But you really want to, in the beginning, start with books, get whatever software you want and just start to get familiarize yourself with this is the type of industry I'm in. These are the type of deductions that I'm entitled to. So these expenses I know should be categorized here. I'm not saying you need to become a bookkeeping expert or anything like that, but just become familiar so that when you do have to maybe talk to a CPA or talk about your books, you can speak with them intelligently and you'll know and they'll know as well if
And
something is
one
off.
thing I will say that if they do not know how to do it, I think one of the best thing to do at the beginning is to bring someone like you that's actually have the experience and that's know how to do it that can teach them.
Sure.
Even if they don't want to keep you in a regular basis, but at least you can teach them at the beginning, get it
That's
set
right.
up, get everything ready, and then if they're good to go, perhaps I think also a good thing will be even every 3 months or even before taxes due at the end of the year, bring someone
Right.
like you back to look over all of it if everything is okay before you even file your taxes. I think that's the best thing to do personally.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Yes. That is that is something that we do. Yes. And you're right. It in the beginning it should make financial sense for you. But yeah, even if you're doing like you said a check-in every 3 months, twice a year, every 6 months, just make sure you're on track so that the end of the year you're not scrambling and it's like tax time doesn't have to be stressful. If you've hired a good bookkeeping person and your books are on point, tax time actually should be pretty
Absolutely,
straightforward.
I agree with that. So, what do you mean when you say creation of generational wealth? What do you mean by
Generational
that?
wealth. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So generational wealth is basically so what they call families, all right, here in the United States or really around the world, old money, right? So the idea is a old money family is a family that has skillfully, because it has to be skillfully and thoughtfully has retained wealth in their family for 3 generations or longer. Okay. And so generation that is essentially generational wealth that you have passed on wealth to your generations, to your children, grandchildren, great grandchildren. And Unfortunately, we find statistics show that a family that builds wealth, usually that wealth is gone by the second generation. Sometimes you get to the next to your kids, they're okay, but usually by time it gets to your grandkids, the wealth is significantly reduced or gone. And for me, as a Black woman in the United States, I mean, really, um, slavery ended in 1800s, not that many generations ago, okay, for African Americans, right? Africans in America from generations ago. And so for me, it just seems really appropriate in honor of the people that came before me, in honor of my ancestors, and in honor of the gift that I have, I think, for or finances and money and helping people with abundance, that I'm here to help us to reclaim and retain the wealth in our communities. And it does, though, it does take skill, and it takes knowing the right people, and it takes knowing having the right people around you taking care of you and your money in order to pass that on to your children. And then it also takes educating your children, right? To be able to, like, you pass it on to them, but if they're not educated to hold on to it, right? So it also takes you educating your our children as well about finances. So that's kind of a long, long answer towards what I mean by
Got
generational
it.
wealth.
So let's talk about the school. You are the creator of Abundance School of Generational Wealth,
Generational
and
wealth.
it's I was reading
Yes.
about it.
Yeah.
When someone come to your school, what exactly do they learn from it?
Yeah. Yes. So it literally takes you on that journey that we talked about. So you enter the school and you start immediately with mindset. Okay. It starts with my signature program, which is called How to Make Money Fall in Love with Your Bank Account. And when people do that program, I just talked with a student yesterday. When people do that program, the promise to you is that if you give your all to that program and you do what I ask you to do every day for 60 days, you will have a 5 to 6 figure abundance breakthrough. I've seen it time and time again. So that gives you a kickstart of abundance for you, right? It's like, okay, so now you got your mind in a good place. You know how to make money in this business, or an opportunity came to you to help you make money. Then you're ready to move into Abundance Accelerator, which is more about what we talked about. Okay, now you're making money. Let's get you profitable, pay yourself. It gives you the tools, right? And the specific steps that you need to do what we just talked about, right? Making sure your taxes are okay, knowing your operating expenses, making sure you're profitable, and you're paying yourself. And of course, more is included. But that's basically the I guess you could say the skeleton of the program. And then along with that, which I find is really important, there's monthly support. So we have monthly group coaching calls. So regardless of what program you're in, you can come onto a group coaching call and get coaching from me about whatever's going on for you right now. Could be mindset, could be something in business, could be something business finances. But that's everything that you receive in the school. And actually, we are coming up on about the year anniversary of Abundance School being in existence. So we're getting ready to move into having a high-end mastermind there for the ladies that have been in the program for almost
Well,
a
I
year
now
now.
I understand why you call it abundance goal. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But when you talk about
Yeah. Yeah.
generational wealth, that's something that I never actually really think about. But it's amazing how it's actually, if you teach your kid how to properly manage money, handle money from a young age, how whatever wealth you are creating to leave behind for them, they can actually pass it on in a better way to their children, where the money is not losing its
Yes.
value that fast.
Yes. And one of the things that was so profound for me, he's my friend now, a man named Byron Tully. And he is old money. He comes from an old money family. and he wrote a book called The Old Money Book. And yeah, Old Money Book. Everybody should check that book out. And but he talks about, it's not so much a hardcore like money book, but it's more about their approach to life, right? And how they teach their children and how they bring up their children and what they value and what's important. And you really get a mindset, the mindset that it takes and the mindset that you want to pass on to your children in order to preserve wealth. And one of the things that he said to me that stuck with me, because I always had this assumption, right, that very wealthy families, old money families, send their kids to private boarding schools as some type of thing to kind of like keep them away from like the rest of society, or like separate them and kind of make them try to make them feel that they're somehow more special or different from other people in society. And that's actually the actual exact opposite is true, according to him. He said, the reason we send our kids to boarding school is to humble them, right? Is to help them see, because their life, they're never going to want for money. They can do whatever they want pretty much, right? They have trust funds, but by time they're 25, 30, hopefully they're able to make good decisions with their money, right? So it's a different life. It's a different mindset, right? So they send their kids to boarding school to kind of get the arrogance out, so that there's a humility that they have, so that when they kind of they're an adult in society, they're not, for lack of a better word, a-holes. Now
Oh,
it doesn't always
that's
work, right? It doesn't. There's other issues, right? But right, but that's what it's about. It's about this kid at some point is going to have access to a lot of money. So we got to get their mind right. And the beginning is hey kid, we're going to get the arrogance out. Actually, the point of you having this money is to be of service to society, to be a good person to society, to help, to be philanthropic. That's what they're getting in those kids' head. And that's what we have to do with our children, is recognizing that, hey, I'm passing on to you something that's, yes, awesome, is going to provide you a great life, but also is going to provide a certain level of power and distinction that you have in society, and you have to be ready to handle that with grace and humility and
I never
responsibility.
really think of it that way. And like you said, that's the
Yeah,
same way I think about it. I'm like, you're just a bunch of rich kids in a school living a rich
that's
life
right.
and just being rich away from society. So who cares?
that's that's right.
But that makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense. So now let's talk about your
yeah,
signature program.
yeah. How to make money fall in love with your bank account?
So how does
Yeah,
it? Let's talk
it's
about it.
it's
How
awesome.
does it work? How does it help
Okay.
clients?
It's funny. You're the second person. Somebody else yesterday was like, "But how? How does that work?" So the bottom line, it is truly a mindset program. It is designed to shift your mindset, right? So what is it that helps you to shift your mindset, right? What helps you to shift how you're thinking and feeling right now into a new, more uplifted, positive, abundant way? Okay. And so it's really the how is that it's designed to help you internally shift how you think and feel about money. It's designed to help you to internally shift your relationship with money. And that's strongly done through what I call law of attraction processes, right? And those processes that I ask you to do daily, is what helps you to begin to shift.
Wow, I'm listening to you talking. I was like, it's just growing up as a kid. We're not like from a rich family or anything like that. And a lot of
Sure.
time when people talk about money, I never really give it much value. And I think my mindset kind
Hmm.
of changed with that when I was about 17 and 18 years old. Like if I value money, money will value me back somehow. And
Yes.
that's how I end up starting to switch my mindset. And one of the reason was that
Yes.
16, I was receiving all those credit card, and credit card, oh sure, I'll use swap, swap, swap. But nobody ever told me, if you use all these
Yeah.
credit cards, girl, you gotta pay the money back. Oh, I do? Oops, my bad. But I was just swapping credit card because they give me credit card.
Yeah.
And by the time I was 18, my credit
Yes.
was like super bad. And it takes me to hire a lawyer to help me fight a lot of them to get rid of them. But one thing I get to learn was the fact that I had a really bad relationship with money. I couldn't
Yes.
save because I just spend left and right.
Yep.
And it was a bad relationship. In my
Yep.
20s, I think that's when I really get click with money. It's like, okay, stop. And the moment I start appreciate money, I don't have to spend you just because I have you.
Yes.
And I go to the
Yes.
mall, I see that dress. Yeah, it's beautiful. It look good. I want it. How much it cost again? Oh yeah, second thought. Buy. I can wear you a different time. And I
Yeah.
get to learn like
Yeah.
putting the money somewhere and start saving and investing is the best way to go. So that's why I really love having that conversation with you, is the fact that we as black growing up, we don't have that type of sit on to appreciate money, to understand the importance of it, why we
Yes.
should not just go out and spend it left and right. Um, even with my
That's
son,
right.
here's something funny that happened with me and my son. Um, we were going food
Yeah.
shopping, and he said, "Mom, I never really spent any money in food shopping. Today, I am going to pay
Hmm.
for the food, and I'm taking my wallet." Let me just tell you, he's 6 years old. Um, and I was like, "Okay,
Oh.
sure, you can pay." So we went there and we do all the food shopping, and I scan everything, and I said, "Okay, now it's time for you to pay." And he looked at it and said, "Mom, I'm sorry, but that's too much money." He said, "Do they have a way I pay half and you pay half?" That I can afford, but I am not
Oh.
spending $285 in my bank account. And it was the funniest thing ever when he said that to me. I'm like, "Oh, you've been learning." So the fact that
Yeah.
before I had him,
That's
I
right.
stopped myself to appreciate money. One thing I seen people at Walmart, at Costco with their kids, and the kids are screaming, "I want this, I want that." I never had that issue with my son.
Yep.
From like being a baby, it was like, we're not rich, we're not poor, we're right in the middle. And
Yep.
for us to break
Yep.
that where we are right now, we have to learn how to save. So we have to put money out. If we want a bigger
Yes.
house, we have to save. We want a nicer car, we have to save. Everything
Yeah.
we have to save. So with him, he's been
Yeah.
like that since he was baby. It was like I would be talking to him like, "You cannot get this because our mommy need to save it." So he would grow up with that
That's
mindset
amazing.
that we have to save money if we want something. It doesn't just come from nowhere.
Yes.
Mommy has to work if we have to save money. Um, I have to help mommy by staying quiet because mommy needs to get the job done. So it becomes that partnership that I
Yes.
create with him. I call him like we're a partner, but he
Yeah.
said, "Mom, when it's come to the money, partner to
Oh.
partner, it's too much." So the funniest thing, he ended
Oh,
up
you're
with
so
his bank
smart.
account because Chase have that bank for kids where you can open a bank account for kids, and then
Yes.
you set up chore for them,
Yes.
and then when they get the job done, they click the job is done, you review it and you pay them. So that's how he ended up with a bank account.
I
But
love that.
he said the last time we went to McDonald's, he said, "Mommy, I will pay for McDonald's." And when we get there, it's like $16. He said, "It's cheap, Mom. But I think you are responsible for feeding me." And it was the
Oh,
funniest
man.
thing. The only thing he will spend on his bank account is books. He loves to read. So if we go, he see books, he will pay for it. Like books, he will not fight. He wants his
Good
book.
for
He
him.
want to read it. But I think that that's one thing
Mm.
as black, we don't
Mhm.
have that relationship to teach our kids. I wish my parents did for me because I had to learn it the hard way to appreciate and love money.
Me
And
too.
when I say love it, I don't mean love spending it. I mean love putting it away.
I understand. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
You
love
did
what you
the
said. That's right.
pandemic impact? How did the pandemic impact your business? Because we all get hit with that. How did that
Yeah.
impact your business?
Yes. Yes. In the very beginning, I lost maybe about a third of my business. I definitely felt it, definitely. And then, luckily enough, I was able to start helping business owners to get relief money, and that's really what saved my business. Yeah, is helping them to apply and get relief money, and of course, I applied for myself. And that's really what saved my business. And then as a result of that, I had more breathing room, and then I was able to, with the clients that I helped to get relief money, they were able to hire me for more services, right? And so that's what kind of jolted my business back from the beginning of 2020, where it was kind of really a scary
Absolutely.
time, right? COVID raging, and then small business owners really being scared. So um, that's how I got
So,
through it.
would you say that the relief funds help a lot of small businesses to stay open?
Definitely. Definitely, yes. I know a few of my clients, it helped them to stay open for sure, and still to this day, because I think at this point, they're doing increases for people as well from the original EIDL loan, so it's definitely been helpful. I've seen that firsthand for sure.
Absolutely. So, what are the biggest misconceptions about money?
The biggest misconception about money. The biggest misconception about money, I think, is that, money and your finances are a financial issue. It sounds kind of odd to say, but our finances really are not a financial issue. I'll just tell a little quick story of how I kind of came to this, if that's okay. Um, I was asked, this is, first pretty early on when I first started my business, and I was asked to come speak to a group of women. It was an investment group, and they wanted me to talk. And so I went and I was like, okay, I'll talk about maybe budgeting, the importance of budgeting, and, kind of the boring topic. and, and I was like, what can I really say to these women? Because anyone can put a budget together, I mean, I know I say that lightly, but um, if you want to figure out how to put a budget together, you can figure out how to do that, right? It's like, what's the information that's really going to be transformational and impactful for these women? It's not showing them how to do a budget. It's actually showing them that once they have a budget, what is going to inspire them to actually follow it? What's going to inspire them to actually take action on the plan that they have in place for their finances? And I kind of was open to the answers, like, well, what am I going to say? And I immediately received that, money is not a financial issue. It's an emotional issue. Our finances are directly tied to our emotional life. I've seen it in my life for good and for worse, and I've seen it in my clients. So, if you have found that you have been through bankrupt or through some bankruptcy, no shame, it happens all the time. Um, then inevitably there was some really tough emotional situation that you were going through where you felt emotionally deprived, depleted, bankrupt. They go hand in hand. If you feel like, oh, that's why divorce is so tough. That's why divorce is so tough financially on people, because you are emotionally spent. Okay. No pun intended. Um, and if you're going through kind of a tough time, a little bit of a tough time emotionally, you're going to see it in your finances. If you are feeling really good, joyful, grateful, appreciative, in touch with who you are, and like you were talking about, the value of money and joy, you're going to see that in your finances. So, the biggest misconception see with finances and money is that it's a financial issue and they just have to figure out the right financial thing to do externally, which that's a part of it. But the bigger thing to move the needle in your finances is your emotional life, which again gets back to mindset.
I never think of it that way. Emotional. It makes sense. So when you get up in the morning, you say, "I'm gonna." A lot of time, I remember being as a young girl. A lot of time, I'm like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go to the mall." A lot of it is because it's emotion. Yeah. And when you go there, you go spend money.
That's right, because you're trying to avoid something else that you don't want to feel
Yes,
emotionally.
you are right. Absolutely right.
Yeah. I was yeah, it was big for me. I came home from school, and I was low key depressed. I was low key depressed, and I used going to the mall and shopping to ease the
Yes.
pain.
Oh, take
It's
your friends to
yeah.
the restaurant and go spend money. That's not worth even spending when you can just cook at
Yeah.
home.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
We do
Correct.
them to get away from things that we're supposed to stop ourselves and deal with them. Wow. So would
Yes.
you say
Yes.
that? Go ahead.
No, no, no. And I was just going to say, and the ironic thing about that, which is kind of the irony of it, is that, I'll speak for myself. When I stopped avoiding, what I was upset and what I felt I was in pain about, when I actually stopped avoiding the emotion that I was trying to avoid so much, I felt better. It went away. you know so it's kind of like, opening the closet, with the boogeyman in it, and then you open the closet and you realize there's nobody in there.
Yes.
So it feels counterintuitive to invite what feels uncomfortable, but that's what's really required in order to be happy, to live a happy life, and to live a thriving, abundant life.
Absolutely, and I agree. You bring a very big point. The reason why I get to appreciate money is because I get to stop and fix my problems that I was running away from all the time. You're absolutely right. So, would you say that you can help someone to learn how to appreciate money? And at some point,
Oh yeah, yes, that's where we start. That's the how to make money fall in love with your bank account program right there. That's one of the steps in the program, right? Is one of the affirmations that I give in that program is I love money and money loves me. You say it every day when you wake up in the morning, and you say it at night. You just program. I love money and money loves me. And the key is because I know that there is this idea about, money is the root of all evil, and so it's I'm not talking about worshiping money, okay? That's not
right,
what I'm talking about, right? And I'm talking about loving money in its right and proper order. I have a daughter. Obviously, my love for my daughter comes before my love of money. So it's about keeping our love of money in context and in right and proper order, right? But and I shouldn't say but, and still I allow myself to, I love money and money loves me. So what? It's just money. If it's just money, what's the big deal with loving it, appreciating it? Why choose to resent it when you can appreciate it and you can feel better and improve your
absolutely.
finances?
If
So
in
what?
doing that as well, it's give you a better financial, you better financially stable, and and being financial stable
Yes.
is something most people want, and to be able to get to that level is appreciate money.
Yeah.
And if you can appreciate money, I
Yeah.
will say that you might want to start giving a call to Simone.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be like I was, because it wasn't the best moment of my life at my young age.
Yeah. Yeah, but yes, you want to start appreciating money, and you want to get in good and right financial stead. You want a big abundance breakthrough. You want to have the tools to continue to call abundance into your life over and over and over again, because you have the tools to do so now. That program, How to Make Money Fall in Love with Your Bank Account, is the
And trust me,
program for
you
you.
love your bank account. There's one thing I always tell my husband. I love waking up in the morning and
Yes.
see.
Yes.
And when I wake up in the morning, I see everything that was there
Yeah.
yesterday still there today, because that's mean I'm doing okay. So if I see a minus, something is
Yeah.
wrong here, and I need to go back and look at some stuff. So having that
That's right.
relationship, be able to have money in your bank is important, and I think everyone should want to have. If you don't want to keep it in your bank, I understand. You can also use like my grandpa used to do, put it under the mattress. That works.
That works too. Yes.
Um, what advice would you give to women who plan to start their business and don't actually have a good financial how will I say, a good financially stable, or have a good relationship with money and unable to do that?
Yeah. Well, I would say the first thing you want to do is be willing. The key in the beginning is willingness, right? The key in the beginning is willingness, and then that willingness will fuel faith, because it takes willingness and it takes faith in the beginning. You have to believe that you're going to create something that doesn't exist right now, right? There has to be a belief that you can, almost out of thin air, create something that doesn't exist right now, right? So if you have the willingness and the belief in yourself to create it, that's the first step. Then I would start with big picture, right? Like, get clear on your why. Why do you want to start a business? Why is it important for you to be successful, right? So it could, and it should not be the answer should not be money. I will say that, right? Money, it's great. Like, oh, I want to make $1 million in my business. That's great. Why? You know, why? Oh, get clear on your why. Oh, because I'll be able to actually start maybe going on holidays with my family that I wanted to. I'll be able to start paying down that paying off that credit card that I want. I'll be able to invest in that real estate property that I wanted. Oh, I'll be able to retire in 5 years if I wanted. Oh, really start to tune into why you want the money you say you want, why you want the business to say you want, right? Because that's gonna see you through. Then the other thing you want to do is you want to retain, okay, some type of an accountant and an attorney. I say that to anybody starting a business, just to get some good advice. You know, pay them. Say, I'd like to pay you for an hour of your time. This is the type of business that I want to start. What do I do? Okay. You start doing that. And then I highly recommend too, you get a bookkeeper. You get a bookkeeper. You get a bookkeeper. You don't have to necessarily be paying them a lot of money, right? Track all your receipts. What are you paying for? What have even little small things? You went to lunch, you talked about this. All of that is deductible. Keep those receipts and start doing your bookkeeping. The other thing I would say that really I wish I knew when I started out my entrepreneurial journey, that I didn't know, that I know now, is really how valuable my time is as a business owner, right? So yes, in the beginning, you may have to do some things until you can pay someone, but as quickly as possible. You don't want to be spending your time in email doing tasks that you would pay a virtual assistant for, right? Uh, Social media, just kind of mindless social media scrolling that doesn't do you any good. Okay, you really want to focus how you are a business owner now, and so the way you eat is how you are spending time generating sales in that business. How much time are you being interviewed on a wonderful platform like this? How much PR are you getting? How much time are you networking? How much time are you doing webinars? Those type of high value activities is what's going to move the needle in your business, not being in your email. Okay, and that took me a long time to figure out. So mindset, get clear on your why, talk to an attorney and an accountant, make sure you have good bookkeeping in the beginning, and be fiercely mindful of the time you spend working on your business, and make sure they are high value activities. That's the best way to get your business
Absolutely,
going.
and I couldn't agree more. And I would not even add anything to it because you perfectly just lay down for them. Anything
Yeah.
else you'd like to share with us before we wrap it up?
No, I thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Or maybe there is something I want to say. Um I am very serious about closing the wealth gap for women. We deserve more, we deserve better. And we can't rely on, and nothing against men. Men are wonderful. I love men, but we can't rely on them to do it for us. We have to do it for us. We have to close the wealth gap for ourselves, and we can. And the way we do that is by starting a business. I'm starting a business. The other thing I should say about that too is, as soon as possible, hire a business coach. So she can hire a business coach, okay? Hire Nagilia. So she can, because there's a certain amount of expertise and skin that she has in the game that she can teach you, that helps you to collapse time, right? To help you to not make those mistakes that you don't have to make if you were under her, consultative guidance and
Oh,
care. Um, so yeah, it's true. So I will leave you with that. There's help out there for you. There's people out there, genuine people, experts that want to help. Connect with those people, and that's your quickest way to
absolutely.
success.
There's women out there that also want to support you, like Simone. We all have different we do different things, but we are all here to help you, and you need all of the help you can get. It doesn't matter. One person cannot help you. You yourself cannot do everything on your own. And if you try, you're just gonna pull yourself for failure. So getting a team of different branches that can help you organize everything is important. And thank you so much, Simone, for being here, for giving me your time, because I know you are a busy lady helping other women, and I appreciate the time, and I love meeting other female founders that just want to help other women. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
I am so grateful to have this conversation with Simone. Most of the time, we don't want to talk about the finances, but as business owners, we have to. As Simone said, remember that paying yourself is important, and you deserve to do so because you work very hard to create that successful business. And if you need help and clarity with tax, bookkeeping, and wealth, reach out to Simone. She will be more than happy to help you. Thank you, Simone, for taking the time to have this conversation with me, and thank you for listening to this week's episode. Let me know your thoughts about this episode and what stage of your business did you pay yourself. To learn more about Simone and SLC Global, visit www.simoncraig.com. Thank you for listening to Female Founders Podcast. That's it for this week's episode. Be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app or connect with us on womel.com so that you don't miss our next episode. See you next time. Bye for now.